Last lesson we learnt about wages and salaries. Remember that a wage is based on your hourly rate of pay, whereas a salary you're paid to do the job no matter how much time it takes. So if you are a person who works on a wage, you may be lucky enough to get paid overtime, which is what we want to calculate today. Now there is 3 different types of overtime mentioned here. There is time and a half overtime, which means that the worker is paid 1.5 times the normal hourly rate. Okay? Sometimes you might get double time, which is when you're paid 2 times or twice the amount per hour. And double time and a half would be 2.5 times the amount. There may even be, it is possible to even get triple time. Some places, especially on Christmas Day, they may get paid triple time, which is 3 times your hourly rate for working at that time. So for some people, it can be very beneficial if you work weekends or you work Christmas Day. You can actually increase your income quite significantly in overtime pay. Okay, so we want to calculate it. We want to calculate the following overtime payments. So first of all, number 1, A, we have 4 hours of overtime at time and a half when the hourly rate is $11.45. So you times the numbers together. I do 4 hours and the time and a half means 1.5. You can write, it's just a habit for me to write 1.5, but it actually is faster to write 1.5 into your calculator. And you times that by 11.45, which is how much they get per hour. Okay, so 4 hours, the time and a half is the 1.5 and $11.45. And in the calculator we go, so 4 times 1.5 times 11.45. So it is $68.70. Okay, remember the extra 0 on there because it's money. Part B, 6 hours at time and a half, 2.5 hours of double time when the hourly rate is $15.60. Do the different types of overtime separately, okay? So the first part was 6 hours at time and a half. So 6 hours, time and a half is your 1.5, and you times that by $15.60. So it's always hours, the type of overtime, and times by the hourly rate of pay. But there was a second amount. So I'm going to add to that their double time. They did 2.5 hours, and double time means times by 2 times the $15.60. Okay, see how I've added the 2 parts of overtime together? Sometimes people like it. Let's see if you like it. You can put brackets around them so you can see the 2 different parts. You don't have to. You definitely don't need to type them in. It doesn't make a difference in your calculator. But you can see there in the first set of red brackets, that's my time and a half pay. And that second set of red brackets is my double time pay. But you just have to type that whole thing into your calculator to work out their pay. And you should get $218.40. Okay, question 2. Calculate Harry's weekly wage in a week where he works 38 hours at $18.40 per hour. That's normal pay. Okay, that's just 38 hours of normal pay. Plus he gets 3 hours at time and a half. Okay, so there's going to be 2 parts that I have to add together here again. So the first part was 38 hours, 38 normal hours, no overtime. So just 38 times by $18.40, normal pay. Then comes the overtime, so plus. He does 3 hours at time and a half, so that's my 1.5, times by the $18.40 again. normal pay, overtime pay, and then type it all in. Anyone get an answer? Yes, Ethan?
$726.80.
What did you get, Layla?
$782.
Yeah, that's what I got as well. Sorry, Ethan, you must have accidentally typed something in wrong there. Question 3. Jake is paid $976.60 for a regular 38-hour week. Okay, that's not that $900. That's not a per hour thing. That's how much he gets for the whole 38 hours. Okay, he gets time and a half for overtime, and we have 3 parts here we need to answer. First of all, because that $976.60 was the total pay, I need to work out what his hourly rate was. We did this last lesson. We start with that $976.60 and we divide it by the 38. Okay, that means he's going to get $25.70 per hour. Remember that slash, per hour. So now, part B. How much is he going to get paid if he does 5 hours of overtime? Okay, so 5 hours. His overtime, remember, was time and a half. That was in the question, so that's the 1.5 or 1.5 times by his hourly rate of pay, which was the $25.70 that we worked out in part A. So he is going to get paid 5 times 1.5 times $25.70. So it's $192.75. Okay, part C. What is his gross wage for a week in which he works 43 hours? Now, gross wage, that's a bit of a fancy word. All the things that we're calculating here are gross wages, because the gross wage is the total wage that somebody earns before other things are taken out of your income, like tax or superannuation or those other things you hear your parents talking about. Like paying too much tax.
How much money would he be paying tax?
Well, that will depend. Yes,
there's Australia, you have to be earning over 18.
Correct. So if he earns under $18,000 for the whole year, then he won't pay any tax. Then anything above that, then there is tax brackets. It would depend on where his income lies as to how much tax he has to pay. All right. So anyway, we don't have to worry about tax this year. Okay. So don't worry about that yet.
But
Tax is something interesting.
Okay.
It's actually something
Later.
people have to use.
Yes, we will learn about it, but just not yet. What is his gross pay? So if he works 43 hours, remember that 38 hours was his normal pay. That was his normal weekly pay, wasn't it? And we've just done 5 hours of overtime. 38 plus 5, that does make 43, doesn't it? Doesn't it? So the 38 overtime of normal and the 5 hours of overtime. So all I need to do is add together the $976.60. That's how much he gets paid for 38 hours, remember? And then I add on the overtime pay that I just calculated. Okay, in the calculator. So you can just go plus 976.6. So he gets 1,169 and 35 cents. Okay, so your questions start on page 10. Please make sure these are wordy questions. Make sure that you're reading them carefully and make sure you always check your answers at the end.